Welcome back to Dragon Tear Healing. My name is Dexion Dusk, and today we are talking about 5 magical. We're just going to keep playing Jump In, Jump Out with the Sun. I see. It's really playing games with me today, but we're just going to roll with it. Anyway. Welcome back to Dragon Tear Healing. My name is Dexion Dusk. Today we are talking about the 5 magical moments or spiritual moments in my life, just depending on who you ask. So I actually got this idea from Owlvine Green. I'll have a link to her page on my screen somewhere. Very informative, very chill, and just wise in like everything she says. So I definitely enjoy her channel. Go give her a follow. I also wanted to share this because the way that spirituality and occultism as a whole has been presented to the world, especially through media, has been very infuriating. And I feel like it shuns people away from an area of their life that they can actually get a lot of support and answers from. Okay, so my first story is kind of like a subcategory. It's like the beginning of my life before I really got onto my spiritual path. And before then, I wasn't going to church because there were just a lot of conflicts with the text of the Bible said and who I was as a gay man. But I still believed in the biblical sense of God. I didn't really know too much about angels or anything about that. Just God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. So, just framework. Early on, I knew that I had a set of rules that I was to abide by. And if I didn't, strange, weird, spiritual things would happen, which I try to avoid at the highest degree. Because it just freaked me out. So one of the earliest ones is I was watching, first of all, I love everything horror. I love everything macabre. Like The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite childhood movies. So is Scream and Candyman now, which used to terrify me, but I now fell in love with it. But anyway, I was watching a marathon of the scariest places on earth with Linda Blair. And I can't, Zelda, the woman, the poltergeist woman, she was the voice narrator person. Anywho, my mom was in the kitchen, and so it was like, here's the dining room here's like the den where I was watching TV. Here's the kitchen, and then here's a hallway, and then there's a boiler room. It's like right here. So I'm sitting there, and the boiler room door just comes open by itself. Like completely just swings open by itself and then stops. And so my mom looks at the door and then looks at me, and she said, "You better turn that shit off right now." And then she had a wooden ladle spoon, and she went through the house to make sure that there was no actual intruder in there. She was like, "I don't know what I was going to do with the spoon, but they were going to get it." I love my mom. So that was one instance. Another instance was I was on the phone with my cousin Destiny and our friend Juan, and we were on a party line, and we were 3 different houses, and we were all telling ghost stories or scary stories. And I had a mirror that was hanging like this against the wall, and it came up and fell down by itself. At the exact same time, either the light in my cousin's room burnt out, and the light in her room turned out, and Juan's phone died and his TV turned off. All at the exact same time. When I tell you, I didn't tell another ghost story over the phone till this day. to this day, I have not told one. I had a relationship with my guides without knowing that I had the relationship, which I think is something that's very common for people. And I think the more that we become more aware and more open to things outside of the Bible or outside of the church, we'll start remembering our roots. But that's for a whole nother video. So my next story is kind of dark, and if you have any triggers around like self-harm or anything of that nature, I would suggest you just go ahead, skip along. I'll have some time codes in the description box below that you can choose from. So the next one happened after I moved here to Las Vegas. I was working as a news producer, and I was just at a point in my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. I knew that I didn't want to be a producer, at least for news anymore. I felt very defeated, and there were a lot of parts of myself that I wasn't fully comfortable with, even like me being gay or me being black or me just feeling comfortable in my own skin and in my spirituality and my beliefs. So I later found out that I was going through a dark night of the soul, my first. And there was a point where I thought that I couldn't do it anymore. Where I thought that I was ready to throw in the towel. So I remember being in such a deep depression that it felt like my emotions were just like a raging storm. It felt like I was like in like the eye of the storm, but there was no calm. It was just anxiety and depression and defeat and guilt and all of these emotions that I had no way to process through. And so one day I decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start writing letters to leave behind for people so that they know why I did what I did. And I was walking through our living room, and all of a sudden there was it felt like there was a sun that just appeared in the room, like just in front of me. And it only lasted for like half a second, but it was like, it felt like my body had been numb, and someone put like a sun inside my body that I was actually seeing outside of my body, but I was feeling it inside. It was weird, but that's just how it works sometimes. Yeah, it was wild, and I cried for like 30 minutes because it was so warm. And I knew when I felt it that it was love. It was like if someone had put just a shot of love inside of a sun and then was projecting that out, but also within, refracting it. It was just a magical moment. And like I said, it lasted like a brief moment, but it was so refreshing, revitalizing. It literally was my awakening of sorts, because from that moment, that sparked my whole entire like spiritual journey, and everything that's come from then on out. It still makes me. It felt like it felt like getting hugged from Jesus. I think I subscribed. I think I described to someone before. Or just a warm bear hug, but like from the sun, but it doesn't scold you. Take that with you. So, I actually went on to therapy and I completed it, and that's how I came up out of that as well. So it was both spirituality and therapy. And shout out to therapy and therapists. If you've been through it, you know. If you haven't, I would greatly recommend it for everyone, especially if you're someone who is black or of color, which actually goes to my next story. So about 3 months after the last one, I got my first tarot reading, and it was from my friend Alys the Ethereal. You can find her on Instagram and YouTube, and she's also an amazing singer and artist, and her music hits. She was the first person to give me a tarot reading, and in it, it said something about a betrayal of trust. And I was like, okay, at the time I didn't know like what that meant, and I was like, okay, so I just had my eye out on everyone. 6 months later, I was in therapy, and my therapist said, in regards to my relationship with me and my birth mother, that we had a betrayal of trust between us, and it floored me. Like the exact same phrase 6 months later from two different people. And before that, I hadn't told my therapist that I'd gotten a tarot reading, because I felt like, like when it's kind of like coming out, you have to like wait for people to like ask you questions. Okay, like what does that mean? Why'd you get into this? And she was like, oh, okay, cool. Nice. Well, cool. That confirms it. And I was like, I had the best therapist, y'all. Anyway, that's just a little side note. Anywho, but yeah, that shook me, and and then that's when I learned about synchronicities and messages, and particularly how my guides communicate with me. They like to use other people's words. I never really put it in that context until like right now. But yeah, they like to use other people's words to give me messages. So that's just there. Part of me processing that whole betrayal of trust thing is writing a story. And I was writing this, and there was a particular scene between a daughter and a mother, and the mother, and it was over the daughter's sexuality. And I kept trying to write the conversation, and it wasn't making sense. Like it just wasn't flowing. Like I kept reading through it. I was like, no, something's wrong. I don't know why I can't write this. And I just sat there, and all of a sudden it came to me. It was like, oh, because I need to have a conversation with my birth mother. And like the realization and just the clarity that washed over me in that moment, like I knew for a fact that that's what I had to do to like do the next step, to go on to the next thing. And it was just knowing. And I later found out that that was Archangel Raphael, because when it happened, I noticed that there was like a green tint to everything. Like I felt the color green, which is really weird to say, but I felt the color green and I saw it. Like it was just, I can't quite explain it. It was just like I was like in a haze, like a green haze for like just a minute. And so since then, since I started working with the angels and doing my work with that, I've now come to know that that was Archangel Raphael. One way that my guides communicate with me is through my dreams. And there was one particular time in my life where I would consistently have dreams about either fighting or battling or warring with something. And there was always some kind of like spiritual or like otherly vibe, like more so. It just felt more saturated with spiritual energy. I don't know how other way, I don't know another way to say that. One particular one, I was having a battle with an angel, and I was on land and they were like in the water, and it was on a beach, and we were like fighting and tussling back and forth, and then all of a sudden we were like in a room, and I was on one couch and they were on another couch, and in between us was Dolly Parton. And she was basically mediating for us, and I was like, what? And so, me being me, I woke up and was like, I had a dream about Dolly Parton last night. Because obviously, like, when a like legend shows up in your dream, like, you just take that, right? So but I was like, why? Like, that was so random, and I couldn't quite like figure out why. And at the time, I was still dealing with the ramifications of my relationship with the church from when I was a child, and feeling very secluded, very left out, very targeted. So, meanwhile, while having those dreams, I was starting to give readings to people. And I was deciding that I wanted to be a healer, and I wanted to, for what I did, to have a healing or lasting positive impact in people's lives. So I, being the extra Aquarius that I am, I wanted to make it a big ceremony. And I really I found that I really enjoyed rituals, and doing a full woo-woo practice, chanting things and really doing spells and things. So I found this guided meditation on YouTube, and in it, they start calling angels. And I was like, okay, they with the church though, they're not checking for me. High key, like, just to put it out there, like, I was so worried about being rejected. And that's something I struggle with a lot. And like, I just wasn't ready to just for my prayers not to be answered in such a direct way, like straight to the face, denied at heaven's gate. And when they called the first one, and it was Raphael, I instantly knew that he was there. They were there, and I saw green, and that was the same color from earlier, which I was like, okay, that was you from, okay, hi, okay, clarity, cool. And so the meditation went through to call on the main four, which is Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel, for wind, fire, water, and earth, respectively. And then they called Sodalphon, who rules the earth star chakra, and Metatron, who rules the star chakra, and Sodalphon, who rules the heart chakra. And I felt all seven. And for anyone who's played video games, if you've played Sonic, you know that when you get all of the Chaos Emeralds, you turn gold, and then all of the like the different all of the different colored emeralds twirl around you, and that's what I was visualizing. Like, me myself, I was just seeing as light, but there were these smaller lights all around me, smaller in size but not in power. Let me just say that. But there were smaller lights all around me giving me their blessing. And it healed a deep wound of mine. And I think a wound that, again, goes to why I'm making this video, to show people that that those angels, like, from my interaction with them, is that they're here to help everyone, no matter who you are, what you practice. Yes, they're very selfish, and in it for their own reasons, and you have to treat them as you would your elders, basically. Like, just give them respect. But they're here to share light and love with everyone if you're just open to it. But you have to be open to it and be ready to listen to what they got to say, because they will just put it on you, and it's up to you to respond and to act from that. All right, guys. Well, that was my 5 magical moments in my life. Feel free to share yours in the comments down below. While you're down there, you can give me a like and subscribe if you so wish, if this message resonated with you or because you just like my face. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.